Hello everyone, good evening. So let's wait for a couple of minutes so that more students and parents can join in. Thank you.
Arindam, let's start.
So good evening once again everyone. Hope you are doing good and keeping safe. I am Randam, part of marketing team at SL Technologies. And this series is brought to you by TechBee. TechBee is SL's early career program that trains students to start working up right after class 12 who are interested in the field of technology. In TechBee webinar series, we invite people from different walks of life who come and share their perspectives to students so that they can make better choices for their career. Last year also we did some series with some of the best counselors of India, and this year again we are starting the same. The purpose of this series is to make the young candidates of class 12 to or the candidates who have completed their 12th well aware that what will be the choices for their future. So today we have the guest for this series. She is Ms. Namrata Chawla, who is a renowned career coach and counselor. About Ms. Namrata Chawla, she has more than 2 decades of experience in education and student counseling as well as in entrepreneurial roles. She has worked with various schools across Delhi NCR, imparted life skill trainings to various students. She has been involved with government schools providing communication skills to class 11th and 12th students. She has also worked with various projects of British Council. And today Namrata will share her thoughts with us on transition from student life to work life. So over to you, Namrata.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Arindam, for that introduction. Welcome to this session today. I do hope that in the course of the next 1 hour as we spend with you, you will be able to take valuable takeaways from this session today. So, Arindam, could we start the PPT?
Yeah, sure, Namrata.
Thank you. All right. So I think all of you at this point in time in your lives are faced with this question where you are about to begin the most important journey of your lives. And I think there are a series of questions and challenges and confusion that runs in your mind as we speak. My first question to everyone today present is, do you think opportunities present themselves or are they created? Do we do something to create these opportunities, especially in our times today, as we are faced with the pandemic, the new world as it emerges for each of us? This is a question for everyone. Any thoughts? Please feel free to share. In the world that we live today, where we are interdependent, as we look at ourselves, where we've really, really transformed the way we live our lives with more and more dependency on technology, on smartphones, on internet, do we see any changes? Do we see new opportunities that have presented themselves to us? Any thoughts from anyone? The way we look at careers today, the way we approach career and even planning towards these careers, I think has changed, transformed tremendously. And I believe strongly that opportunities are both presented and created. So, this new world as we live in has provided to us a large number of opportunities. I look at it more as the new world, which really brings in a plethora of opportunities for each of you at your age as you look at the world. Yes, yes, many opportunities are raised due to technology. Yes, I agree with some of you. Um, Remember that the technology has brought us closer together. So you have the options of choosing careers which was not present earlier. And today, as you live in this world and you come into the industry in the near future, more and more these changes will impact you and will impact you in a positive way. Uh, what I want to share here today, one important thing that as important as it is to have a career choice or a career decision, it's full of challenges. It is extremely daunting. There are confusions at every stage. However, most of you intuitively will have a sense of what you want to do, where you want to go in your lives, right? And I do feel that what's important is for you to not just listen to your inner voice, but also know what are your inherent strengths, what are your personality traits, what is it that interests you, what is it that draws you in, what is it that makes you feel that you can naturally be good at this. And remember that it's not easy, however it's not impossible. What's important is to make an informed decision at this point in time in your lives. One very simple example that I take with all students is that when we try and buy a new smartphone, I think we spend so much time in trying to weigh the pros and cons of what is it that we want to look at, which is the model, the camera, the GB, etc., etc. Now, how much time do we spend in evaluating the pros and cons of a career decision? Very simply put. Arindam, could we have the next slide, please? So, is there a strategy, or do we just follow a path? Right, a lot of us, I think we feel, okay, my sibling has done well in this particular field, my cousin is doing very well, this particular field seems very, very interesting. Do we really follow what's happening in terms of trend, or do we have a strategy? Like I said earlier, we need to know what our choices are. We need to know what is it that is in store for us. For example, what is it that will require you to do in terms of your study hours, in terms of your work style, in terms of what is the kind of earning that you can expect. These are some of the decisions that should be in your mind when you are choosing career options. You also need to look at what are your interests and hobbies. What is it that you really can think that truly defines you, is your true calling. And all of this should in some way form some sort of a guideline for you when you choose your careers. As you see on the screen here, just some figures that I want to throw out there for you to understand how important it is for you to have a strategy, to really know where you are and where is it that you want to be, and how is it that you're going to travel this sort of distance, right? And remember, There is no path to follow. Each one of us is unique. Each one of us has our own unique strength, and we're going to look at a little tool that I'm going to leave you with at the end of the session, which will really help you to evaluate who you are, and that will help you to really understand how you need to create this strategy and path for yourself, and not simply follow what somebody else's journey is, because each one of us has our own struggle and our own winning story at the end of it. The next slide, please. So we're going to look at very briefly at if there is a formula for success, right? So remember, I could really be very good at my career, take up biotechnology, take up some subjects. However, that would not make me, an icon in my industry. What will make me that would be following my intrinsic passion, being hardworking at what I do, and following the right strategy, which is unique to me, right? So there is no blueprint for success. There is no cut copy paste here. We've got to find it for ourselves. And like I said, the time that you spend in buying that mobile phone, just about a little more extra time in trying to find your decision for career, and it'll get you there. How do we access these future oriented jobs? I talked about the new tomorrow. I talked about the new world emerging. What are the abilities that you as students today need to succeed, right? There are some unique skill sets. We're going to look at them very briefly. As I said earlier, there is a lot of competition. The numbers are just mind boggling. It is scary. However, know that you have it in control as long as you have a strategy in mind and a strategy that you follow, right? We're going to look at learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. What exactly are these? So let's look at learning skills first. The next slide, please, Arindam. So we look at the four C's of the new world, right? So we look at critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Now, what exactly are these? Let's look at this, a little briefly here. Critical thinking skills are your logical thinking skills, right? How good are you at sequentially really thinking things through in a strategic and a systematic manner, in a logical manner, right? And are able to actually think that through to find some sort of solution to everyday challenges and problems. Creativity, how creative are you? Are you going to be thinking out of the box? Can you find solutions by really being creative in your problem solving skills? Are you collaborative? Are you a team worker, or are you somebody who likes to work on his own? Remember, we can't get as much done as a single person as we can in a team. So it's the teamwork that will help you go a long way in your career. No matter where you are in your lives, you will have to work with people, right? You will have to manage people, and the better you are at it, the more or the higher are your chances for success. And communication, let's set the better, right? We are who we are by how we are able to express ourselves. I may have a wide range of knowledge, experience within me. However, if I'm not able to communicate my ideas, my thoughts, articulate them well, it will just get me only this far in my career or my career growth. So we call this very, very commonly as the four C's of the 21st century skills: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, which we term as learning skills. We move on to the next set of skills now, which are the very simply the literacy skills. Very important in today's world as we look at more and more emphasis, more and more dependency on technology. So how easy is it for you to pick up the new technology? How important or how aware are you of what is happening in the media today, or the information literacy? How good are you with these skills? How good are you, or how easily can you flow with your learnings on these skills? Very important in our world today. And the third skill, the next slide, please, Arindam. So again, one of the key areas why I consider this the most important is because as we move more and more towards virtual reality, towards artificial intelligence, life skills will continue to have maximum emphasis and continue to be most important, simply because we as human beings have to have initiative, have to have leadership skills. We need to be flexible. The more flexible we are, the more we are able to actually move on in our lives. Right? I share a small example. A student of mine, he bagged a job at one of the companies, and they needed him to shift base, so he moved to another city. Now his level of flexibility at being able to take this shift, how easy was it for him to shift from his hometown into a smaller city, which is defined by his life skill of flexibility, of being able to be adaptive to change, is what helped him bag that job in this era of competitive sort of scenario that we look at. Right? Leadership skill: are you able to motivate others? Can you inspire others? Are you able to take people with you as you move along? How good are you with your initiative skills? Are you able to initiate a job? All right, again, giving an example from one of my students. They had issues with how they could in their HR carry on these orientation programs and these trainings, because in work from home it's very difficult to get the employees on board. This particular HR person decided to take it up and said, well, I'm okay to take smaller groups and do this on a virtual platform over Zoom sessions. And it was done very, very seamlessly because of the initiative skill that that student had, even though he was just interning as an HR in their company. Productivity, right? This has a lot to do with, again, how well are you able to delegate your tasks? How well are you able to manage your time? We're going to look in the subsequent slides about time management. And of course, the lastly being social skills, which have a lot to do with your networking, right? How well are you able to maintain your links with your current group of friends? Because remember, they're going to go out there and start working in different organizations. And how well are you able to maintain those links will take you really forward in life. Because remember, every time you want to shift, you might want recommendations from people. You might want people to take you with them when they move along to different organizations or to different levels of work. And that is when these social skills go a long way, and has a lot to do with, again, how supportive are you towards others? How helpful are you with people? So a lot of emotional support and empathy. Again, in today's age, when we look at a lot of anxiety here, how well are you able to connect with people and have this social interaction, which is, very simply put, has a lot to do with empathy. We move on to the next slide. So let's look at one of the important areas of information for all of you, because remember, you're going to start your journey into your workspace. You need to understand what are some of the skill sets or the core competencies that employers are looking at for people who they are wanting to recruit. Remember, for any particular job that you go in, there will be a range of merit based exams along with behavioral tests that will be taken up. You will be assessed at different levels, right? And these are some of the skills that they're looking for in the people that they want to hire in this world of competition. For every particular job that you are going to be aspiring to take, or you're going to be targeting for, or you're going to be looking at, there will be a long list of people with you. How do you ensure that you get handpicked? How do you ensure that you are the chosen one amidst those long list of other people who are other candidates who might be the same as, in the skill set, the technical skill as you, if not better, right? So these are some of the skills that they are looking for, the core competencies, as I call it: decision making and problem solving, right? How well are you at taking decision under pressure, especially, right? How well are you at problem solving? Again, I would like to share an example here of somebody that I knew very personally, and I was coaching them. They were working for a logistics company, and this person had a night shift, and there was no sort of supervisor at that point in time, because it was a night shift. The supervisor had gone on leave, and there were two people who got into this fight. Well, I wouldn't say fight in terms of fight, but they got into an argument where both of them, that argument led to a long brawl, a kind of a fight, and the others got involved. And this particular person decided to take the role of a leadership role, and stepped in and told the two of them to either call off this argument or just go home. All right. And they decided to go home instead. So what he did was he called the other 8 people who were left, including him, and said, well, these 2 people's jobs is going to be taken up by all 8 of us now, because we need to ensure that by the morning, the consignment that we have to prepare for is ready to go. Right. And he just got everyone together to get pitch in for that task. And in the morning, when the supervisor came in at about 8 a.m., he was extremely surprised and happy to see that somebody had stepped up, even though it was not part of his profile at that point in time, to take charge of that situation and solve that problem at hand. Or else, that fight could have maybe lasted for another 1 hour, 2 hours, and wasted that time. So these are what we look at as decision making skills, or problem solving skills, and leadership skills. Now remember, you as the potential employees can exhibit these even at your completely the intake level. When you're at the junior level, you will be observed for these skills that you will be able to exhibit at different points in time, which will come to you when you on a day-to-day basis when you're working with a company. Motivation: how motivated are you to perform your task? Again, this will be directly linked to how keenly have you made that informed decision for that career or for that job. Are you interested in it? Does it really inspire you? Do you look forward to it? Do you enjoy it? Right? How well are you at your communication skill? Now here we look at writing skills of communication. How well are you for simple as email writing? Or how well are you able to communicate to your supervisor if you have not understood a job, or to your lower to your subordinate, you're somebody at the lower level than you, if you want them to do a task for you? So how clear are you with your communication skills? Planning and organization: remember, you need to plan your own task and then be able to organize it in a manner that you can achieve whatever has been assigned to you. Right? Critical thinking, I talked about that earlier as well. How well can you logically understand the tasks that are expected out of you? Team building: are you a team player? Like I said, the world today that we live in, it is all about working together. It is all about team building. How well can you influence others? Right? We are all working in an organization to achieve the overall organization goal. Right? All of us, if we are 10 people working for an organization, all of us have the same goal, which is to ensure that the organization can achieve whatever it is that it has targeted for that quarter, for that year. Right? Interpersonal skills: again, how well do you really gel with your colleagues? How well do you gel with your supervisors, your managers? Right? How liked are you? Again, discipline, time management, punctuality: how well do you dress? How do you present yourself at work? How professional are you? All of these factors will also go into how you can influence others and how strong are your interpersonal skills. Because remember, if people are impressed by you, they will want to work with you, for you, and with you. Right? On that note, we'll move to the next slide, please. These are some of the quotes from people that you all recognize, I'm sure. Henry Ford: he hoped to transform the automobile industry, but 2 of his companies failed, and he went bankrupt 5 times. Right? So remember, it is our winning attitude that makes us succeed, not some formula that we all have that we just follow and say, hey, we're here and we are ready to strike or launch off. It is a journey full of trials, tribulations, and challenges. And how well we can come out of this is really what defines our winning attitude and our success. Walt Disney: he dreamt of being a good animator but was fired and told that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Thomas Edison: he lost in his experiments and vision. He was labeled by his teachers as too stupid to learn anything, and failed over 10,000 times to create an economical light bulb that we have today. Oprah Winfrey is another example here. Before she started her channel, which is on Oprah Winfrey Network, and before she could actually get into a job of a, I don't know how many of you are aware of Oprah Winfrey or know that she runs her own channel today as one of the most powerful motivational speakers that we have today, one of my favorites. She was fired. She had to go and audition for being an anchor a zillion times before she was actually selected. And that was also by default because somebody who was working fell sick and she was called in last moment to fill in for a person. And when she went on screen, they realized that she had the spark and the talent in her. So that is what a winning attitude is all about. Could we move to the next slide, please? All right, what is a goal, right? Again, do you think goal setting is important? A question for all of you here. Anybody wants to share? There is a definition on screen which says that goal is a desired result that a person plans and commits to achieve. However, I'd like to know from each of you what exactly is a goal for you. What is your understanding of a goal? And do you think goal setting is important? Or what exactly do we even mean by goal setting? Anybody? So a goal could be something as simple as if you are a sports player, you might want to really, start playing district level or perhaps national level. Now that obviously doesn't happen overnight, right? So you might have a short-term goal and say, hey, let me focus on being selected in the school team, right? So that would be your first goal, the short term goal, and perhaps you would work at it and focus on it, take up coaching classes or classes for learning the sport, and get selected over the period of, let's say, 6 months, and get into the school team and go for an inter-school competition. Your next goal thereafter might be that, okay, now that I'm in the inter-school team, I might want to be a district level player, right, or a straight player. So again, I'm moving from a small goal to a medium term goal and a long term goal. So therefore, what is important is to first have a goal in place, right? It really, really helps and is extremely important to have a goal, because this is what makes you committed to it. You know exactly what you want to do, and that's when you start breaking your goal down for something as basic as losing weight. I need to know what exactly is the total amount of weight that I want to lose. What's my time frame that I want to lose it within? How do I go about it? Will I lose it overnight? Will I lose it within a month? I need to have a whole plan. How do I go about achieving it? And that's why goal setting is important, right? It really adds to my self esteem, to my confidence level. If I set out a goal for, let's say, 3 months and I achieve it, it really makes me extremely confident that yes, now I can achieve the step two of my goal. And that's the process that is important. And that is why goal setting becomes important. Could we have the next slide, please? So, goal setting really involves developing an action plan. All right. And remember, all right, great. So your goal is, so for this goal of the software engineer, you will have to break it down to see that, okay, what is it that you need to do right now, right? Perhaps work hard for the entrance exams to get that seat, right? Look at what is it that you need to do in order to work hard. Maybe join some kind of classes. So again, breaking those goals into actual action plans, right? So what does it help you to do? It helps you, gives you long term vision to begin with, so you know that this is your career goal, this is where you want to go. And it gives you short term motivation, because like I said, when I'm able to achieve the short term goal, it motivates me to reach the next level of my goal. So it really helps you to organize your time and your resources, right? So there's only this much time. And yes, Prakash, we're going to look at time management in just about 5 minutes in the subsequent slide, and I think that will help you to answer. Will help me to answer your question better. So again, remember that you have to measure your progress. All right, you need to have a fixed endpoint. Like I said, if you know that you want to be a state level player or a national level player, you know this is your fixed endpoint, and then you work backwards and prepare that action plan. And remember, you have to have a achievable goal. You have to have a goal that will get you to be the best version of yourself, to really push yourself to your potential. Remember, we all have limitless potential. We just don't realize it. And we ourselves become our biggest critics and limit ourselves without realizing that, yes, we are capable of this and much more. Right? Can we move to the next slide, please? So let's look at one of the most important components of goal setting. All right, which is called SMART goal. This is what helps you to have quality goals. These are your requisites to have the right kind of goal, because remember, this is the acronym, which means specific. So my goal needs to be specific. Like I said, if my goal is to, let's say, become a national level player, so I have a specific goal. How do I measure my goal? It needs to be measurable. So it can't be that, okay, I want to really be a good football player. How do I measure that? It's very relative, right? Achievable. I can't say that, okay, I'm going to be a national level player in the next 1 year. It is not achievable, and it is not realistic. Therefore, the goal needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Let me break this down in a very small example of as simple as weight loss. All right. Let's say I have a weight loss goal which is specific, and I say it's 20 kilos. So it's specific because I have a number attached to it. All right. And it is also measurable. Why? Because I'm going to break this weight loss down and say, okay, I'm going to give myself 18 to 20 months, and I'm going to look at how do I look at breaking this 20 kilos down. So I'll say, okay, let me see, maybe 2 kilos a month or 1.5 kilos a month. So I'm able to measure on a monthly basis what is it that I'm trying to do to achieve this goal. Is it achievable? Yes, I can look at 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos every month. If I say that no, I'm going to lose 5 kilos a month, that is not achievable. Realistic, yes, realistically I can do it because I will have a diet plan in place, I will have an exercise and a workout regime in place. And timely, why? Because I'm giving myself 20 months. So it is 20 kilos in 20 months. So I have the time in order. It's realistic, it's achievable, it's measurable, and it's specific. These are the qualities that you have to keep in mind when you are setting your goals. Or else, remember, if you set a goal which is not achievable, it will end up discouraging you. You will feel demotivated. Why? Because you have set something which is not achievable or realistic for yourself. So it's extremely important that you need to have smart goals while you're setting your goals. Any questions before we move forward? Or you could park them aside because we will have the questions taken up at the end of the session, right? So again, like I said, you need to have long-term goals, you need to have short-term goals, and you need to have a time attached to each of these goals. Could we have the next slide, please? All right, an important question. I do set my goal, but do I measure it daily? I may say, okay, I've decided to lose this weight, and this is my time frame. What am I doing to measure it? Am I measuring it daily? Am I measuring it weekly? Or am I just looking at it at the end of the month and saying, hey, the 2 kilos hasn't happened, so this goal is not achievable. I'm just going to trash it. It's not the right goal setting that I've done. So I think the most important step after your smart goal setting is to measure your goals on a daily basis. And one of the things that you can do that is something as basic as making a to-do list. So when you make your to-do list, it helps you to really formulate your thoughts, put out what is it that you need to do in the day. Remember, each one of us, irrespective of whether you are a student, I do this today on a daily basis. And it provides me a sense of my productivity, because if I have 10 things on my to-do list, and let's say I've only been able to strike out 4 of them, I need to be harsh on myself and say, hey, these 6 things will be done tomorrow along with my to-do list of tomorrow. On the other hand, if I'm able to actually strike off all 10, I will reward myself because I will be so happy that, yes, I have managed to be productive and I have managed to achieve what I set out to do in that particular time frame of that particular day. And remember, this takes me closer to my goal without even realizing how effortless it becomes. Can we have the next slide, please? We need to charge our phone on a daily basis. How many of us really charge ourselves? Very, very important, because remember, as motivated as we are, that's how we will be on the track of achieving our goal. That's how we will actually be motivated enough every single day to inch closer and closer to my goal on a daily basis, right? Let's look at the next slide. So we have something called lead and lag indicators, what we call as input and output, right? So for example, I'll take a very simple example, like if you want to be a YouTuber, right? what is it that you need to do? You need to have obviously a channel, etc. You need to have a lot of content. You need to have interesting content, different content, and then of course, once you've done that, your expectation or output, tangible output, is with the number of subscribers that you can get. Now let's say you have done your bit, you've put out good content, and you see the next day or a week later that you have about 100 subscribers. Now what does that do for you? You say, hey, this is great, I've got 100 subscribers. You are going to feel very motivated, and you're going to go back and probably start researching with more encouragement and motivation on your content. And you'll say, hey, let me spend 2 hours extra and try and manage my time and research more, be more creative on my for my content, because I want to now target 200 subscribers. So, what has that done? You've had a certain level of input, and it has shown you a certain level of output. Now, that output has again motivated you to increase your level of inputs. And this exactly is how motivation works. Now, my question to everyone is, what should you be measuring if you want to crack an entrance exam? So, what is it that you need to measure in terms of your inputs? And what is it that you need to measure in terms of your output? Anybody wants to share their thoughts? The answer is in the next slide. However, before we show that up, if anybody wants to share. All right, we could show up the next slide, please, Anandam. So my lag indicator, which would be my output, would really be what is my score in my mock exams? How many mock exams am I taking on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? That is my output. However, most important, what is my input? How much time am I spending in understanding the concepts, in really, focusing on absorbing every single aspect of what I am learning? How much am I practicing? How many hours in a day am I giving to my practice questions? Now, these are my lead indicators or my inputs. And the amount of input that I'm putting in will closely be measured by me in terms of how much I'm scoring in my mock exam. So the more I start scoring, the more I probably want to add to my inputs. This is how I'm measuring one from the other. And this is exactly what we need to do. We need to measure not just the output, but our inputs as well, because higher the inputs, higher the output, and higher the level of motivation. The moment I see that my weighing scale has shown me 4 kilos of a weight loss, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm going to walk an extra half an hour today. I'm going to put in an extra 20 minutes of exercise today. I probably look at that Swedish or that dessert and say, I'm not eating that. That's that much calorie. Because I have seen the output. I have seen that I managed to lose this much. I would not want to give that up. So, the same way, if you are able to see those 100 subscribers, you are definitely going to add in more time in your research, in your content, in your actual work for that YouTube channel. Why? Because you want to see the output of more number of subscribers. So, remember, your motivation will be constantly measuring on your output and your input. Could we have the next slide, please? Benjamin Franklin once said, you may delay, but time will not. So, time is one of the most important components, and I think is the one that flows just like sand from our hands before we even realize it. So, this is the most important time of your lives. What you do, how you do in the next couple of years of your life will actually determine the next 40, 50 years of your life. That's how important your time is at this point as we speak. Let's look at a matrix here for time management for most of you who wanted to know how to manage your time better. We have the next slide, please. So Stephen Covey developed this quadrant of time, which looks at 4 particular quadrants. You look at 4 boxes here. We are going to start from quadrant 1, right, which talks of urgent and important things to do. Now, these are things where we call this the quadrant of urgency, where we have all these things that need our immediate attention. So, for example, there's a phone bill that you haven't paid. and the date is last date is today, so it's become urgent and important, or else your connection will get cut off. And why has that happened? Because you have procrastinated. You have when the time was there, you had 2 weeks to pay the bill, you didn't do it. And therefore all those activities which we don't do at the right time fall into this quadrant of urgency, right? And obviously needless to say that this is the most challenging. It is the area where we are managing crisis because it's urgent and important. The next quadrant is your quadrant of quality, all right, which is number 2, which is critical but not due soon. Now, remember, this is where you look at prevention, preparation. So, for example, if you're able to prepare for your entrance exam through this quadrant, at quadrant number 2, you will know that you will be able to prepare at your own time without creating an urgency. So, the more time you spend in quadrant number 2, the more better prepared are you with your time. All right, this is where you look at broadening your skill set. This is where you look at long range planning, anticipating, preventing problems, right? Empowering others, actually, increasing your skill set. So the more time you spend here, the better you will be able to manage your time. And the moment you ignore this, the things that are in quadrant 2, if you ignore them, they reach quadrant 1, because this is where those situations or those things which you have ignored in quadrant 2 will make you go to the crisis or the burnout situation which is in quadrant 1. All right, Satyam, we'll come to your question after we finish this quadrant here, right? Then let's look at quadrant number 3, which looks at urgent but not important. All right, here we need to look at delegating these things. Remember, this is also known as the quadrant of deception, because here this is like a quadrant which creates a deception of urgency. It could be when other people give our tasks to do and we start doing their things and we waste our time, or there are some meetings that come up, or there are things where we are unable to say no to people, right? Or there could be some kind of pressing matters, family matters, which we can avoid, however we are unable to say no. Okay, so here when you spend more time here, you might end up losing time from quadrant 2. Now we look at quadrant 4, which is not urgent, not important. You need to eliminate all the activities that you have in this spot, which are where you are really, really wasting your time. Okay, this could be trivial work. This could be excessive TV. It could be excessive, Instagram, Facebook. When you're just doing, these are called time wasters. All right. So remember, the more time you spend in quadrant 4 or quadrant 3, the worse your time management gets, because you will not have adequate time for quadrant number 2. All right, which is where you need to really focus, because that is the quadrant that helps you become more balanced. You have more focus, you have ability to get on with your life. And remember, quadrant 2 brings you vision, brings you balance, discipline, and control. All right, and remember, cycling between quadrant 3 and 4, all right, will be what, where you're dependent on others, where you're actually you're being irresponsible. Why? Because you're really not doing things on time. You're not doing them when they are needed to be done. So remember, effectiveness and efficiency both are important. Effectiveness, doing the right things. Efficiency, doing the right things correctly. Both are equally important. Can we move to the next slide, please? This is where I'd like to spend a moment. Remember, SWOT analysis is something which is something that I make each and every student do. It's one of the most important tools that will help you to really understand yourself better. All right, it's an acronym which stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. All right, it helps you to know where are you right now. Where do you want to be in your near future? What is your short term goal? And what is it that you need to do to get there? Now, remember, strength and weakness are internal to you. Opportunities and threats are what are provided to you by the environment outside. So it's external to you. And obviously, you can't control it. What you can control are your strengths and weaknesses. So, how do we go about doing this SWOT on ourselves? And why and how does it help us? Remember, a SWOT helps you to know who are you? What are your strengths? All right, starting from as basic as something which is in your personality, which makes you unique to others, your own traits, right? What are your educational qualifications, your certifications? What is it that you've done which makes you stand out from the others? Right, what are some of the skill sets that you have which help you actually differentiate yourself from others? Your weaknesses, really understanding, being really, I would say, your best critic, knowing, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, what is it that keeps you behind? What is it that you need to improve in yourself? Right? How do you minimize your weaknesses and maximize your strengths? Very, very important. All right. It could be anything. That could be, for example, do you lack in your confidence skills? Do you have some sort of negative habit? Do you have are you short tempered? Do you have difficulty organizing things? It could also be something that, for example, could be a fear of public speaking, or so any other weakness. All right, opportunities, what are those things that are in the environment that are providing you with an opportunity? For example, do you have a network of friends, of contacts that could help you? Do you have some opportunities that are striking at your doorstep that you could take, that you could utilize to make the most of your choices, your strengths? So remember, your strengths in combination with the opportunities is what will give you a desired positive outcome. All right. Remember, what are the things, what are the hindrances that you currently face in overcoming your weaknesses? You need to keep that in mind. What is your competition? What are you competing with? Right? Is your world changing, evolving, and are you ready? Are you gearing up for that as well? Or are you getting left behind? Okay, these are the threats. So remember, the threats are the reasons for you to grow. Not recognizing the threats will put you out of the game. And remember, again, your weakness could create a threat for you. So I'll give you a small example here. In this world that we live in this pandemic era, a lot of people have lost their jobs. Why? Because they couldn't upskill themselves. They were not able to really match the changing environment, the changing demands of the industry. People who were not able to work from home, people who were not able to really gear up and get accustomed to changing technology. So that was a weakness, and it created a threat for them, which was losing their jobs. So remember, performing this SWOT analysis will really provide you the important information about you as a person, and how is it that you can really put things in the right perspective and make the most of your strengths to capitalize on your opportunities. And that's what is important. You need to minimize your weaknesses and take the advantages of the opportunities available to you. With that, we come to the end of the session from my end. Arindam, over to you. And I'd be happy to take up any questions.
Thank you, Namta, for joining us. We are
Thank
covering a very interesting topic, and that is transition from student life to work life. So, what's your first reaction on this?
So I think the first thing is important for every student to understand the changes that are going to come their way, and to be aware and to be absolutely prepared for it. And the best thing to accomplish that is to have a strategy in place and have their goals, and of course carry out their SWOT analysis.
Okay. So, tell us something about your career. How did transition from student life happen in your life? And what were the experience you had?
All right. So for me, I think I'm a absolute example of not being able to choose the right career way back. Spending almost 12 years in the corporate industry, and then realizing that my real calling was in the training and the education industry. So I think back in time, if we had more time spent on choosing our careers on the basis of our interest and passion, things would have been different. But yes, it's been a journey which I love to share with everyone, all my students, that always go with your calling, your passion, your interest, and match it with your strengths.
Traditionally, colleges and graduation were considered as the ground for preparing work life. However, this seems to be changing. What's the cause of this change?
Because it's the practical implementation of what we study and learn which is important, and most of us as students are not aware of what does the commercial job work out for us. What is it that we are studying, and what is this going to pan out in terms of a job that we are going to do? So that's why it's very important for students to perhaps work before they choose their careers, or choose to work along with studying. Of course, it's challenging, but then so are the times today. So those who can really shine are the ones who come out as diamonds at the end of the day.
So, do you think corporates are embracing change now? And
Oh yes, sorry, go
please go
ahead.
ahead. Catch your talent in the new mantra. Why this is happening?
So I think corporates realize that it's important to get new talent, who are freshers, groom them, and really make the most of that energy, enthusiasm that the young talent possesses today. And of course, the students, on the other hand, are able to make the most of this opportunity because they're able to study as well as really put to use whatever they are studying into practical implementation, and at the same time have work experience on their profiles, which will speak volumes for them in their long-term career growth and prospects.
Okay. So, what do corporates look for in young students who are joining the workforce?
All the core competencies that we discussed today, the problem solving skills, the decision making, how well are they able to present themselves, how good are their time management skills, their discipline, how diligent and motivated are they, right? How committed are they to really making the most of their lives, their careers? That is what makes them stand out.
Globally, it's a recognized practice that students take up work assignments after school. However, we see this is a trend now catching up in India. So, what do you say about this?
Oh yes, it's a trend which not only is catching up in India but is extremely important. I think it's one of the most critical factors in deciding the future of our students today, because it gives them a kickstart as against those students who are still studying. So if you look at law colleges, if you look at even colleges which are offering BBA programs, or commerce and liberal arts streams, everyone is looking at internships. So even if you join a regular professional college, there will be a mandatory requirement of internship. And the reason that's being done is because colleges today recognize the need of practical implementation of all that the students are studying for the conceptual understanding of what they're studying.
And what are the things students should be prepared for as they are moving out of schools and enter the workforce?
So, all that we discussed today, they need to be prepared for really being hard pressed for time. They need to be prepared for juggling between multiple things. Somebody asked me this question as well here, that, how would we able to manage studying and working? Well, life is never easy, it's always tough. And I think when you're getting an opportunity like this with a brand like HCL, students should take it up, and they need to recognize that this is their time in their lives when they are highest on energy, right? And how well they're able to utilize their time, how well they're able to push themselves, will really determine their lives and their careers.
And a lot of students and parents still feel they should consider finishing higher education, then start working. How does it? It's working right away for a class 12 student.
So I feel that if they are provided with an opportunity where they can work with an established global brand, students should take it up. Reason being that I have had instances where students have studied a certain subject in their bachelor's program, even have gone up to the master's program, and then realized that they are not happy with the kind of jobs that they're doing with those qualifications. And that really makes them unhappy, because if you're not happy with what you're doing, or if you don't enjoy your work, if you don't have job satisfaction, money starts to not be a motivating factor. It stops being a motivating factor beyond the point. And therefore it's very important for parents to understand that students need to understand what is it that they have to work What is the industry like? What is the work like? What is expected of them? And are they enjoying it? And then put in extra energy to study that, understand those concepts, and apply them in their workplace.
Okay. So what role does corporate play in shaping students from real life challenges?
Sorry, what role does corporate play?
What role does corporate play in shaping students for real life challenges?
So I think on an everyday basis, when you are working in a corporate environment, you are faced with everyday challenges, right down from working, reaching on time, to fulfilling your goals, to delivering what is expected of you at the end of the day, to be able to work with others, to be able to manage your time, realize how important commitment is to your everyday goals. So, for example, if you have a work that, or an assignment that, or a project that needs to be submitted at a particular date, you have to manage your time and do that. And all of this really helps the students to build these life skills, which will go a long way in their success.
Okay. SCL TechB program is up for class 12 students, and it's a perfect example of switching from school life to work life. So, what do you think about this program?
I think it's a fantastic program, and it's a great endeavor in this current scenario where students can take up this opportunity and really make the most of it. With a brand like HCL on their profile will speak volumes for their growth, even for their future job prospects. And needless to say, working in a corporate environment like HCL would give them a lot of exposure.
Okay. So, working during the week and classes in the weekend, that's how TechB prepares students for the future. So, do you think it's easy for students to have lifestyle like this?
Well, I would say, like I said, this is their time when they have the maximum energy. They have no responsibilities other than to themselves. And that's what they need to fulfill. They need to manage their time better. And it's extremely doable because your Saturday and Sunday can be devoted to studying. And the better you are at multitasking, the more you can achieve. So Satyam has just asked this question: how do we manage time in HCL Tech B? And I think I've just answered this. That when we are working 5 days a week and those 2 days, how much time can you actually, sort of juggle between work and study will help you to really, like I said, nothing is easy. So you are at the prime of your lives, your energy levels are the highest right now, and you're provided with an opportunity not many have. So make the most of it, and go ahead and aspire for the best for your glorious future.
And what are the most important lessons for uh, career success which school students should keep in their mind?
So, like I said, I think time management and being motivated towards your smart goals, making sure that you make those small steps towards your short term goals, keeping yourself motivated with the inputs and the outputs, and measuring them on a daily basis. And of course, being very professional and committed to your own career aspirations. That is what will take them a long way.
Okay, so Namta, there are some questions from the audience as well now. So we should answer them. So it is Shweta from Indore, and she is asking that due to COVID situation, there are no classes and coachings, and I am not confident of cracking admission into any reputed college. Should I consider Tech B or should I prepare for entrance exam and try for one more time?
I think, hi Shweta, thank you for your question. So I think you should definitely consider Tech B. Reason being that you're, and like I said, you're not the only one. Each student is facing similar situation. However, it's important to remain positive. It's important to keep the faith, and definitely try for the Tech B. It should take you a long way. And like I said, to have a brand like HCL on your profile will really help you go a long way in your career.
And there's another question from Shashikant. He's from Jaipur. He's saying that my son has scored 76% marks in his 12th. He wants to become a YouTuber and also has interest in technology as well. I have been asking him to consider TechB as a program. So, what's your advice?
Absolutely. If he has interest in technology, that's a great thing. And that is definitely a sign that he should consider Tech B for his future prospects.
So, then there is another question from Neha. She is from Noida. And she is saying that I want to start my earning soon It does not matter what degree I earn. Do you think TechB will be a good choice for me? I have scored 71% in my class 12.
Yes, definitely. I think one of the things that she will be able to accomplish is getting financially independent, because it will help her to start her earnings. And there's, like I said, short-term goals which will take her into the long-term goals of even studying and getting herself the degree.
So thank you, Namta, for sparing your time with us today. And we
Thank you.
hope that students who have attended to this session will must have learned a lot from this, and it should be fruitful for them. So I thank you, Namta, once again, and thanks to all those students, and I wish them all the best for the future ahead.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Namta.
Arindam, for having me. Thank you. It's been a pleasure and honor being here. Thank you so much.
So before we end up a session, we would like you to show a quick video about TechD. So please watch this.